All right, Blake, if we did another company lake day, what kind of nonsense would you want to get up to this time?
Toby, what if we took the oldest console we have in stock to be our boat anchor for the day?
Welcome to the Church Gear Podcast, where we pull the tech out of the booth and onto the stage to share the most outlandish stories and hidden wisdom from the tech trenches. And now, here are your hosts.
I'm your host, Blake Hodges, the man who knows we have a Mackie console here somewhere that's begging for some sun. And I'm here with my co-host who would never let us do that because he exclusively mixes on Mackies, Toby Walters.
Now I'm wondering what the oldest console we have here is. And
has to be a Mackie, right? And is it oldest to us or oldest by how old it is?
I think oldest by how old it is.
Okay.
I don't know that we have any Mackies anymore.
After I dropped that one in the bathroom in the barn.
And we have very few analog consoles anymore. It's possible, though, that we have a couple analog consoles, but the oldest is actually a digital, like maybe a Digidesign D-Show or something.
At what point does it get old enough that it becomes vintage and then we can sell it for history?
Yeah, it's funny. That word is so ambiguous, but as soon as you apply it to something, if somebody believes it, they're like, oh, well, I'll pay twice as much now because you called it vintage.
Instead of our clearance page, we just change it to vintage.
Yeah, Church Gear Vintage. I like it. Well, Blake, we told some of these stories throughout the years, but we did a lake day. What was this, maybe 3 years ago now?
We should go back.
We should go back. And it was based around our leadership retreat. So this was just a weird year. It was like right after COVID. And so a couple people couldn't come because of COVID. They were just on Zoom. And so it ended up being you, me, and Frank. And then Sarah came down. And I remember playing some board game, and we just got the giggles over something on this board game, but I can't remember. Do you remember that game that night?
Toby, I don't remember yesterday. We're on our third podcast
That's a good point.
Day.
And then you, a lot of our audience knows you're a mixologist, which not in audio terms, but you like to mix fun cocktails. And so you had made us kind of a fun, I remember it's kind of like an orange-inspired creation.
Yep.
And then you and Frank decided to go head-to-head. And
Frank decided to just drink it in two sips, and I wasn't going to be outdone by him. And so we had an unspoken drinking competition.
Yeah. And so we're having a great evening. Frank felt fine. We went to bed. No. I went to bed. And then, Blake, you and Frank got into a little bit of trouble, didn't you?
I don't know that we need to say anymore. I think we've already told this story.
Yeah.
Me and Frank decided to take the company golf cart, or the
Airbnb golf cart.
Like just down like 2 streets. We didn't turn it off. We didn't turn off something or plug something in when we got back. So the next day, the battery's dead. And Toby's like, why isn't the golf cart starting? And I was like, it's probably because you talk like that, Toby. And we didn't tell him until on this podcast.
Yeah.
I saved it because Frank was like, we're never telling him. And I said, we're going to tell him on the podcast live. I remember you were pissed.
Yeah. So you're fired again. Retroactively again, you're fired.
As I should be.
Yeah. But then that day, we brought the whole company down to the lake, and we did a lake day. We rented a pontoon and had a, tubing? Is that what we did? We pulled the tube. Is that what it's called? I'm not a good lake dude. You grew up on lakes, right?
We tubed. Toby almost lost his attire on the lake. Riley drove for a time. It was good. It was a good time.
Yeah. And I feel like that was one of those days for our company where we got up to a lot of nonsense all in one day. And
it was a good 24-hour period.
Yeah. If you're out there listening and you're like, I wonder what it would ever be like to work at Church Gear, I think that's a great day to describe about what it's like to work at Church Gear.
Lots of sun, drunkenness, and almost losing your clothes. I mean, this is debauchery.
I know. And I want to be clear, we don't do drunkenness around here, but we borderline.
Speak for yourself, Toby. No one knows what's in this D&B mug. It's not see-through.
Yes. Thank you, D&B. But yeah, around here, now I grew up at the ocean, so we had beach days, but now I'm getting used to lake days, and it's kind of fun. It's a very different vibe, very different kind of speed to it. Yeah, you're kind of a lake person. I'm an ocean person.
I'm just saying, Toby, take us on the lake again.
Yeah.
And when you do take us on the lake, the person to invite and also include in this debauchery is the production director at Auburn Community Church, Drew Middlebrooks. Drew, how fast would the church fire you if you spent one day with us on the lake?
We'd probably hire you.
All right.
Not fire me. We'd hire y'all.
Let's do this.
So, Drew, you're very much a lake guy and lakes and boats and fishing. What kind of nonsense do you end up getting into on the lake?
We're big like water sports people, so not a whole lot of fishing going on. I don't have the patience for it.
Okay.
But I want to ride around, listen to good music, have a drink, laugh with friends, find a rope swing to jump off of, wake surf, that sort of thing. So just all about being together, cutting up, eating something good, drinking something good. That's more of my lake vibes.
Do you know Spencer at MXU?
Not directly.
All right, DM him, become friends, and then we can all go do a lake day together because he has a boat and he likes all the things you just described as well.
I love it. It's a lifestyle.
There's like there's different subsets of the production community. Like there's the cigar guys and there's the bourbon guys and there's the golf guys.
Now
and
there's the boat guys.
There's the boat guys. They're the lake guys. I like this.
It's awesome.
All right, Drew. So you are clearly very young and handsome and missed your calling as the next PGA champion. Give us a snapshot into why your golf career fizzled out and how you got into production instead and what led to your role today at Auburn.
I love it. I'm still fighting for the golf career. I haven't given up. But so I started out, just was always kind of a techie kid, taking apart projectors and record players to age myself a little bit. And then originally my kind of audiovisual background started in cars. So I was like a car electronics guy full time for like 7 or 8 years. So that was kind of like my mini career before my church career. And so that's where I learned a lot about just like circuitry and that sort of thing. And then beyond that, I really would say I'm just like a youth group success story. So started going to church with friends in high school. And one day around Christmas time, they said, "Hey, does anybody want to stick around and help us put up some Christmas lights?" And I said, "Sure, I'll do that." And that was probably 15 years ago. And here we are. So as far as Auburn, so during COVID, while the church at large was kind of scrambling to figure out how to live stream or something, I had dabbled in that a little bit. I wasn't an expert, but I guess knew more than most. And so I was going around to like 3 or 4 churches every week doing different recordings and things like that to get their online presence off the ground, and had a great existing relationship with ACC here in Auburn and was helping them at that time. And they were looking for more of a full-time production director role. And I just kind of fell in love with the community and the church here and jumped on board. And that was about 5 years ago now. So it's been amazing.
So Blake, if he's a youth group success story, are you a youth group disaster story?
That's exactly right, Toby. And I'm on break for youth group for the summer, so I'm trying to recalibrate.
Oh, man.
My boys are now 2/3 of the way done. Got them at 7th grade. They're about to be juniors, only got so many smelly camp nights left.
And I'm thinking of, when kids go on break from school and then just everything they learn throughout the school year just slowly like fades out of their mind until they start the next school year. They have to relearn most of it. Is it kind of the same way with their spirituality?
That would assume that those cocaine squirrels listen to a lick of anything me and Todd said. They're just, they're doing their cocaine and they're squirrels and they're just jittery.
Yeah.
You can, guys, no lie. Drew, you can literally see the hormones pulsing through their body when they're just sitting still. Like because they're not sitting still, they're just slowly vibrating.
It's fascinating.
Electrical current.
Those were the days.
Yeah.
I miss being a kid. That was fun.
I know.
So, Drew, I've seen pictures online of ACC and just really cool environments that you've created. Now, your wife has told us that you're a very visual guy, and you have confirmed that visuals make sense to your head. So how do you think about the entire environment as a whole when you have, LED screens and lighting design and haze and all these things functioning together? How do you approach this as a holistic environment to make sure all these elements make sense together?
That's great. I think you really said it. There's so many opportunities for all of those pieces of the puzzle to fight against each other. So it's about what am I doing? How am I utilizing these tools to make the most kind of consistent palette across the whole room? So like for me personally, like to get in the design weeds, I'm pretty much never going to use more than like 1 or 2 colors during an entire look, like across LED backgrounds or lighting or anything. And it's really just, hey, how can I really just give the music something to stand on visually? Because the music is really the tip of the spear in that environment, or the message is the really what you want the room to stand on. And the visuals are just the thing that kind of comes alongside and supports it. So what am I doing that's impacting, that's beautiful, that's compelling, that kind of rides the energy of the song, but at the same time doesn't do anything to detract from the lyrics or from people making a connection with the lyrics, or the message that that song is trying to bring.
Yeah. Blake, you're a brand guy, and so colors and fonts very much matter to you, as we've seen you have mental breakdowns around here when somebody uses a different font that's not part of our brand package.
We never heard from them again. They are deceased.
Drew, do you almost think of yourself as, you're creating a brand image where you can't have competing colors that don't work together in a palette that makes sense? Like, at what point does it start to get distracting visually?
So, I mean, anytime that I always tell people, like, have your room be as uniform and consistent as possible. So, like from a lighting perspective, I pretty much always will have, sometimes it's just one fixture type in a whole stage package, more likely 2 or so, but you're never going to see me have, 3, 4, 5, 6 different types of lights on a package. And I tell people that all the time, where it's, hey, I got some money this year, I'm going to buy a handful of these lights. And then the next budget year comes around and you get some more money, and I'm going to buy a handful of these lights. And the next thing you know, you've just got this like cesspool of stuff that doesn't get along or complement each other all over your stage. And you've kind of blew your chance to have a really consistent kind of visual appeal across your whole room. So for me, yeah, it's like, I want it from front to back, left to right, top to bottom, across the whole room. I want it to be as cohesive and uniform as possible. I don't want one side to be more distracting or dominant. I don't want you to always be looking at the drums or always be looking at this singer or whatever. Like, I want it to be just a super uniform experience. Both in like design and in coloring. So, I mean, for us, we really even trend more on the pretty conservative side, as far as like, we're still very like full scale contemporary worship. So it's full lighting, it's haze, it's full PA, full band. But I mean, rarely on a regular Sunday am I going to use any kind of intensity effects or anything. Position effects are super minimal. It's really just all about really good color selection, really good visuals, nice, clean, consistent haze in the room. That's, if the lights are not on, I really don't even want you to know the haze is there until I want you to know that it's there.
Yeah.
So yeah, really just trying to let it be super uniform and consistent, and a really just easy palette to stare at.
So if you're working with 1 to 2 colors, are you getting that throughout the entire service? Those are the same colors the entire service, or are you switching up in between songs? You'll switch colors for the message, the worship.
Yeah, so it'd be per song. So each song is going to have kind of like a visual look that is going to be its baseline. And then, for me, if I'm programming a Sunday gathering, I'm going to have one look per song. And not to say that it lives in that look the whole time, but I just have one programmed baseline look, a base color, and then I'm going to just busk some position stuff on top of that. I might build in and out of like some white looks to build some intensity back to a more saturated color. Not super over programmed or anything, but yeah, so I'll have a different look, a different palette for every song. And then just kind of ride the intensity and the emotions within that song to make it all line up and jive together with the music.
Blake, when you're mixing drinks, do you ever like imagine your different creations as different colors?
I mean, every single drink has a different color.
Yeah.
And it's funny how you can have just 0.25 of one element. And if it's pink or green, that whole thing going to be pink or green. It don't matter.
Yeah.
So you can really change a drink with just a little bit of color.
Do you ever feel like the color, even though it's not let's say it, just barely changes the color, but it changes the flavor because your brain is thinking in a different color?
Oh, totally. You drink with your eyes first. That's why there's such a thing called a garnish. So I'm not kidding. It sounds silly, but when you give someone a drink with no garnish, and then you give them one with a garnish, they're like, ooh, I literally did this on a boat for Karen, our mutual friend Karen. I was doing her birthday party, and I made drinks for all of her friends, and I put a little garnish on, and they were like, oh my gosh, let's take a photo for the gram.
Yeah.
So,
Were they Ultimate Valley girls?
I don't know. That's just how they are in my mind. But
Okay.
Visuals matter.
Yeah.
Visuals matter.
So, Drew, when you're thinking of the set list for a Sunday morning, are you imagining like a song as a color? Do you almost feel the color of the song yourself and then do it up? Or you're just kind of like, whatever I decide that day?
Yeah, I would like to tell you that it was that deep, but
walk us
it's
through your
not.
process.
Yeah, it's not that deep. I would say I've got probably a palette of 10 colors or so that I just think work really well for us on camera, work really well in our space, and just kind of move between those. Like there is some songs, if we're doing something that's more like a hymnal type vibe, I'll probably trend more towards white or something a little more like warm white, a little more traditional looking. But outside of that, like I don't close my eyes and hear color and that sort of thing.
Now you're going to try it.
But yeah, I'm going to have to.
Yep.
Might have to have some of those cocktails you're talking about to help me.
Yep.
Auburn's not too far away, Drew.
So you're all going to meet on either Drew's boat or Spencer's boat. Blake's going to mix the drinks, and then Drew's going to start imagining the colors.
Is this how we're telling people to do their lights for their
This is
church?
a wild
now,
ride
Toby?
here.
Oh my gosh. I know this is our third pod of the day, but this is getting wild.
So Drew, as you've watched other churches online or you visited other churches and I assume you have opinions about visual palettes. What mistakes do you feel like a lot of churches are making visually?
Yeah. I did a whole talk about this at a conference about a year ago. And I think one of the big things is, like I mentioned earlier, of like, hey, don't make your rig or your stage more complicated than it has to be. Like you think you're building interest by having a bunch of different fixture types and a bunch of different effects and stuff going on at the same time. But I don't think complexity is linked to like visual interest. Like I think it can be super compelling, and honestly, not that we're out to impress anybody, but it can be really impressive and really beautiful just by having some really intentional, well thought out looks. So like don't mess around and have a bunch of different types of fixtures. Like just select one or two fixtures that have a specific job, what you want each one of them to do. And keep that in mind. Haze wise, I tell people, if you don't have it figured out yet, just don't do it. Like bad haze is worse than no haze. You're better to just have no atmosphere effects at all than to have a big cloudy mess. And it's kind of sort of just really devalues your whole production, and nobody's impressed by your smoke cloud for sure.
I thought
so take time during.
I thought it was don't stop until you hear them cough.
Yeah,
just keep pumping.
Take time during the week. Play with your room. Play with your air conditioning. Figure out what works great for your space. And once you figure that out, then kind of ease into doing it on Sundays. But yeah, visually, that's what I tell people most of the time is like, you're not there to steal the show. You're not there to be the show. You're there to really just serve the band, serve your pastor and that sermon, and just put a visual experience alongside that really just elevates what they're doing.
Blake, I always tell you when we enter our podcast studio, don't leave me with a big cloudy mess. And you rarely take that to heart.
I always just fart in your face instead.
Yes.
In the benefits package.
It's very disappointing. Drew, talk to us about, are you using moving lights at your church? Is there movement during your songs, or does it depend on the song?
Yeah, there's definitely movement. Not in the sense of you would think of like position effect type of movements. So I love a trick I pull out all the time is like the prisms in a moving headlight. So I couldn't tell you the last time I used a gobo. I think it's just, there's no 5% of the time there might be a cool place for it, but it's just not really the look anymore that I mess with. And so I use the prism a lot to kind of give some cool, like, rotational texture to the air without having it be as kind of jagged looking as gobos would be. So I have some movement there. And then for me, I'm really just working inside of some different position presets. So I mean, like a kind of a lights down stage wash look is going to be kind of the baseline for every song. And then from there, as a song builds, you get into a big chorus. Like, I will have some more kind of lights in your face stuff, which a lot of people shy away from. And that's kind of the big, like, oh, don't do this list for, like, I think a lot of church leadership is kind of, it's in the same scary ballpark as bad haze. But I think if you do it well and you really understand how, like, okay, what is the tolerance of doing like a cool fly out or something that just lasts for a few seconds, and you've got your focus and things and your lights in check to where it's just giving a big kind of intentional, powerful wash over your room, like in the apex of a song or a moment. And you're not making any one person just feel like they're getting beat to death by the lights or anything. I think you can do it in a way that's subtle and blends really well with the worship as a whole.
And are you kind of trying to follow the arc of the worship? You know, if a first song is loud and fast, that you're having more movement, more engagement, and as things kind of, you know, slow down, it kind of tightens up as far as your lighting design?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if there's like I said before, more of like a hymnal song or something like that there will be songs where the lights don't move at all. We just find a great look. Because at that point, I'm like, the whole point that here is I want the room to hear each other singing. Like, I want them to just be fully enveloped in what it sounds like and what we're singing and what we're saying. Like, that's the point of that moment. Kind of a more reflective space where, as you know, if it's especially say it's like more of a worship night environment kind of thing, and it's just full throttle, bands going for it, the room's going for it, in that I think you really can lean into it and, you know, give the rig all it's got back to the room. And so I think you'll know, like, you would probably come to one of our services and at some point during the song look up and be like, wow, I didn't really even think that this lighting rig had that in it, you know, from like a intensity kind of standpoint. But I think when you reserve that for the right moments, it makes having that, you know, that high low, it really makes your highs more impacting and it makes your lows more subtle and kind of more reflective, rather than trying to, you know, wedge every emotion into every song. Like, really let the song just drive what you want it to be. And let your big moments be huge, and don't be afraid to let your more intimate moments be more subtle.
Blake, I saw you getting really excited about the idea of beating somebody over the head with lighting.
I mean, I just want to give somebody a fit.
Yeah. I'm now wondering, we've always joked about you running sound and how bad that would be at church. Now I want to imagine you running the lights, and what kind of craziness would you tend to get up to?
We just have him going crazy. I'd like to, you know, do the spotlight on the preacher as he's walking, you know?
Yeah.
I think we underutilize that, make it look like a stand-up bit.
I was almost imagining you having a spotlight from stage back on the audience, so you're just calling out people that aren't paying attention or they're on their phone.
That'd be amazing.
That'd be funny.
It's like it's just, you know, this black box of a room, and I'm just shooting the light at the certain audience member. I mean, it would be very obvious you were on your phone. Or when someone takes a swig out of their flask.
Absolutely. True. So speaking of black boxes, you know, a lot of modern churches, that's, if all the lights are off, that's all they are, is a black box. And then you have churches that have a lot more traditional elements. And so it's a very different, I would imagine, discipline, whether you're painting a black box or you're painting a traditional kind of building and sanctuary. How do you approach those two things differently?
Yeah, that's a great question. So our main building in Auburn that we're currently in, where I'm at right now, this was really my first exposure to more of a, it's not fully traditional, like we don't have any stained glass or anything, but there is open windows. that we have shade control over. Like a lot of the walls are white. And so walking into that a few years ago, that was super intimidating to me because all I had ever done is like black box world, which with black box stuff, it's cool because it is 100% exactly what you make it. There's no outlying factors that you have to contend with or say, how do I overcome this? Like it's as dark as you let it be. It's as bright as you want it to be. So in that, it is cool doing black box stuff because you have 100% control over it. But at the same time, it's scary because every single look and element has to be intentionally done from scratch. Like there is nothing there if you don't implement it. So I think it takes a lot more forethought of how am I covering every single angle? How am I lighting up even like the whole seating area for people to be able to see and get around? It honestly just takes a lot more work in a lot of ways for it to be functional. But in that, you kind of have more of a sterile environment that you can get it to look and feel exactly how you want. So then more in like a traditional space, which we really worked hard at this building to kind of marry the two of those. So it is contemporary in that we can kind of build different looks and environments as we want it. But even if we wanted to just have nothing on but house lights, it's still a gorgeous room to be in. So learning how I was kind of scared going into that I was going to not really have full control of a space. But it's really been, I think, just an awesome experience because to kind of let some natural light come in when we want to, like, especially during the message, we'll always have some natural light come in. And I think the community aspect that brings to a gathering, to be able to look around and you see the people that you're in church with, like you can look around and see people, taking notes, see other people singing. And it really is a lot more of a communal experience, I think, than everybody just being locked in on the screens or on the stage, which has been really cool. And just not being afraid to like own your environment. Don't try and force it to be something that it's not. If you're in a space that, it's an older room and you've got some stained glass and some pipe organ stuff going on or whatever it is, don't spend your whole time trying to figure out how to make it not that and have it be the black box down the road. Like that's not what you're there to do. Yeah. You're there to make the best of the space that you're in and really maximize that visual experience for people. So amplify what's already there. If you've got stained glass, let it be beautiful. Figure out, hey, how am I going to draw attention to this? And instead of trying to work around it and let it be a hindrance, just embrace it and let it be something beautiful. Because I guarantee your people are in the seats because they like that. They're not there because they're waiting on you to change it into something else. So just really try and serve your body and your leadership by maximizing the beauty of what your room already is.
So don't spend $2,000 on black painting over the stained glass. Is that what I heard?
Would be
wild. You can. You probably only get to do it once.
Yeah.
Probably would melt off with the heat, you think?
No, you can paint windows. Yeah, it's not going anywhere.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Drew, do you almost find yourself having to protect against overusing technology in your space because you do have some of those traditional elements so you don't detract from them, like keeping a careful balance between the two?
Yeah. So our biggest thing with that is probably how we utilize cameras. So we put a lot of effort, a lot of thought into our broadcast and our live stream that's going to YouTube every week and going to our other campuses. And some of our campuses, that's all they have. So there's no live worship, there's no live teaching. It is just the screen. But at the same time, we don't want the people that are sitting in the room at our broadcast location to feel like they're just sitting on a TV set, like they're just observing a broadcast that's happening around them. And really making that in-person experience is the priority. Like we're not going to do anything that is going to detract from the person that is sitting in the seat in this room. So we don't have any like cable cams, don't have any jibs, anything like that. And none of those things are inherently bad. Like they can get some really cool looks out of it. But we do put a lot of effort into saying, okay, how is the capture of this gathering not distracting to the people who are actually here in the room, and how are we prioritizing their experience at the same time as the people watching online? Even if you're making the argument that, okay, at the end of the day, the people watching online long-term even outnumbers the people that are in the room. I think what God's doing in the room in that moment is just the thing that we're always going to prioritize. So try and not make that a distraction in any way.
So you're almost trying to create camera shots that would make sense as this is how a real human sitting in the room would observe it, as opposed to, unless Superman goes to your church, nobody's going to observe it like a cable cam would.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I mean, really try and let it be just kind of an immersive point of view for a lot of our camera capture stuff.
Blake, do you think you could be Superman? What would be your superhero doppelganger?
Oh, man.
Doughboy? The Pillsbury Doughboy. Is that a superhero?
I was trying to think if there was a fat superhero. I don't know if there is.
Like Mr. Incredible. He's
a big man.
He's a big boy. He's very strong.
I've never understood how the animation of him makes no sense. His legs cannot hold up that body.
I look at you and I think the same thing, buddy.
It's the pants, man. These pants are reinforced with steel beams.
Drew, it's just such an interesting perspective when we talk about how, churches hundreds of years ago, there were this just beautiful architectural creations, stained glass windows, very intentional vaulted ceilings. And then over the last century, we've slowly but surely engineered all that natural beauty out to get these black boxes. And now churches, sounds like yours even, are trying to engineer some of that beauty back in and trying to find that balance where, technology is very much a real thing, and we don't want to engineer that out of churches, but we also want some of that natural beauty. And so just finding that balance between the two, I think is just really a cool thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's Torture Toby time.
No, I disagree. I'm going to baffle you by not torturing myself because this section's called Baffle Blake.
Luke wrote my name on the check this time, so...
Wouldn't it be funny if somebody else was secretly sponsoring Torture Toby and then it just turned around? But
what if I told you one person has reached out about Torture Toby time as a sponsor, and I sold it to him for one episode for $5?
I think that'd be hilarious. I'd be very curious who it was. I'd have some guesses.
We'll see when this segment runs out. We got 18 episodes.
I assume it's not our friends at HouseRight who sponsored the Baffle Blake segment. All right, Blake, it is time to baffle you again.
Isn't that just the whole podcast, Toby?
That usually is, but specifically we're partnering with our friends at HouseRight to baffle you in this new segment we like to refer to as Baffling Blake. So HouseRight is an amazing integration team that works with almost exclusively churches all over the country to partner with their architects in pre-building phase or current room renovations, where they help make sure that your space looks aesthetically pleasing, but also acoustically correct for the style of worship that your church is trying to achieve.
You said the word architect, and I just haven't heard anything since. I'm like, that sounds way too technical. That's above my pay grade, but it's not above HouseRight's pay grade.
No, it should be above all our pay grades, but HouseRight does this all the time, and they're amazing at it. And if you are not specifically looking for an integration project, but you're like, hey, I am looking for my next career or opportunity, HouseRight is also hiring amazing people to join their team.
They're hiring.
They are hiring. So if you have been looking at the map and looking at Lexington, Kentucky very lovingly because of horse racing and bourbon and HouseRight.
And high-proof bourbon at that.
Yes. Go to HouseRight.com, check out their opportunities, and start a conversation today. And we love HouseRight, incredible integration company out of Lexington, Kentucky. So if you're looking for your next integration partner for a project at your church, definitely reach out. They do incredible work. The coolest churches in America. And Blake, what else with HouseRight?
HouseRight is located in Lexington with high-proof bourbon, horse races, and HouseRight. So you can't go wrong.
No.
Also very affordable to live. So if you're looking to get your next job, mosey on over there.
They are hiring for several positions.
Peak living is good job in low cost of living area. I wouldn't know about that. I have a bad job in a high cost of living area. But if you want to change that, go to HouseRight.
Yeah, shut up, B-host. I'll let you keep that $5 of the sponsorship of Torture Toby.
Perfect. I'll have him Venmo it to me.
All right, Drew. So we've got this Baffle Blake section, and this is simply a true false. So I will give you a scenario, and then you guess first, is it true or false? And then Blake will ride your coattails like he is used to doing with our guests. So first up, A church once installed a fully functional indoor water slide as part of their baptism experience. What do you say, Drew? True or false?
I feel like that's made its rounds on the meme scene. That's going to be false.
Okay, Blake?
I'm going to say it's true because they had to help people who were disabled get into the baptismal.
It is true, and it was for a VBS at a church. So at least, there's a
That
little
doesn't
context there.
1-0.
Doesn't count.
Let's go.
Blake, you're winning right now.
The game is over.
All right, next up. One church created a full-scale replica of the Millennium Falcon cockpit for a Star Wars sermon series.
Oh, what was that, Toby?
One church created a full-scale replica of the Millennium Falcon cockpit for a Star Wars sermon series. True or false?
That's for sure true. I know some pastors that would die for that opportunity.
Blake?
The way you said that sounded like something else. We're not editing that. Gosh, that was gold. I'm going to say false because they can't make that. No way.
That is true.
Dang it.
All right, it is 1-1. Yeah. All right, next up. A megachurch once suspended a car from the ceiling to promote a sermon series on life in the fast lane. True or false, Drew?
Yeah, I mean, that's just average Sunday. That's true.
No way. False. This is such a risk.
That one is false. But a church did drive a car onto
I
stage.
could do it.
You
The
could do
moment
it.
I saw the pain in your eyes, I knew I had gotten it right.
Yeah, Drew's like, challenge accepted. All right, next up. Blake, you're currently in the lead. Oh, my goodness.
Say that like you're surprised.
I am very surprised. Next up, a church used 200 drones to create a light show spelling out Jesus saves in the sky. True?
I think it would take more than 200. I want that to be true so bad. I'm going to go with faith and say that's true.
Blake?
I am going to go false because I think I'm right there with you. It takes more than 200.
That one is false. Drew, you're not doing well on this, buddy. I don't know that anybody's ever lost to Blake.
No, some people have lost to me. Don't come at me like that.
Especially in fantasy football. Nobody's ever lost to Blake in fantasy football.
I have 4 championships. Don't listen to him.
All right, final one. A sanctuary was transformed into a haunted house for a Halloween event called Hell House. True or false, Drew?
I've dabbled in such events. That's 100% true.
Yeah, that has to be true.
That is true. Yeah, churches out there getting up to some nonsense. I like it.
No, you don't want to scare. Jesus is supposed to be something we run towards, not just run away from hell. We're supposed to run towards Jesus.
Well, unfortunately, your performance in this episode of Baffle Blake was Hell House, Drew. So, Blake, you won this round.
Heck yeah. But, Drew, because you're a fellow Lake friend, I'll be sending your HouseRight prize pack to you, my friend.
Yep. You win a house prize pack.
Great, I appreciate it.
HouseRight prize pack, which includes a boat and a lake. So, yeah, this is a serious prize pack. It's pretty great. All right, Drew. So if you're going to pull off something big like any of those ideas, how do you go about planning and prepping the work for the entire team so it goes off without a hitch?
It's great. I mean, first, I'm going to make sure that I know exactly what leadership's vision is going to be for something like that. I mean, I think in the tech world, it's so easy to latch onto some cool idea or something you saw somebody else do, and you're like, oh, that's the solution, or that we got to do that, or you're just eager to get your hands dirty in some type of project. But it's like, hey, what is really the message and the point of why we're doing what we're going to do? And then I'm going to think, okay, how can I set my team up for success? How can I equip them with the most clarity, the best tools, the best communication of what the vision is, why we're doing it, to where I can really set them up to operate in their lanes and do the thing that they're good at, and eliminate any of the communication or preparatory guesswork to really set them up for success. And then I think the last thing is, who are the people that I'm putting in the seats? Who's the team that I'm putting together? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what budget you have, what gear you have. The people in the seats and the people on your team are the ones that are going to make or break anything you're trying to accomplish. So I'm going to put a lot of thought in, okay, whether it's people I'm bringing in from the outside to do a special event, or it's people that are already on our team or volunteers here. Like, who is really the best fit for a specific role and a specific task, and how am I leveraging the things that I'm not good at, which is a lot, and putting people on my team that are way better in my weak areas, and really just setting them up for success and making sure I'm bringing in the very best people for whatever the task or the thing is. So really people above tools is what I'd say.
Now, Blake, you're Mr. Incredible as far as your body shape, but your superpower, I think, is project management. You just love to organize a bunch of details and make sure that it gets done in time.
Give me a goal, a deadline, and a gun, and I'm ready.
Yep. Drew, I think production people often are very much project managers, especially when we're talking big events or even just Sunday mornings. How detailed of a plan do you get into when it's a big event? You understand the vision. You know there's going to be a lot of people involved. Like, how much detail do you map out and specify?
That's a great question. So really it is, I'm taking whatever the project goal is, whatever the vision from leadership is, and I'm kind of breaking that down into, different lanes. Let that be audio, like video, camera work, like LED video stuff in the room, lighting, staging, going to work really closely with the band and a lot of things. And I'm kind of to the point in my production career now that lighting I know a lot about. I've kind of intentionally stayed a little bit ignorant in some areas because I don't want to get my nose super down in the weeds of any one area, because I want to be able to look up high enough and say, okay, how do all of these different pictures and these different disciplines fit together to ultimately move in the same direction and accomplish the same thing. So I'm going to give vision and resources and like direction to my people that are going to lead individual departments. So it's like, hey, if you're leading audio, this is what I need you to know. This is the exact, this is why we're going from point A to point B. This is the reason we're going to point B. This is the message once we get there. Here's a couple ideas that I have of how I think this could be pulled off the most efficiently, but I'm really trusting you and your skills and your experience to figure out all of the nuts and bolts of exactly how that happens. And if you have any questions or ideas along the way, let's talk and let's put all that together. Because that way I can really say, okay, well, I'm having these conversations with my audio team. Well, then I can also have conversations with the band and their leadership and make sure, okay, is the plan that I'm putting together with the audio team going to support the band and what they're trying to do from stage? And the same thing with, your video team. If pastor wants to present his message in a certain way or have some certain elements, I'm going to say, hey, here's certain things we have to prioritize. Here's some ideas that I have about how to do that. But I'm really giving you ownership of exactly how that happens. And again, that comes on the back of making good selection in the people that I put in charge and the team that I build around me, to where when those opportunities do come, I'm just giving vision, I'm giving them resources, and I'm giving them the space to have conversation with me and fill in any of the gray areas. And that really just reserves space for me to be a little bit more in the clouds, a little bit more innovative. That has not been the case like throughout the course of my kind of production leadership. There was years and years and years where I was in the clouds and in the weeds at the same time. And, got some stuff done, but probably was not as effective as I can be with a great team around me. So really, yeah, I'm just going to give them clarity and vision, and make sure that they have the tools and the support from me to succeed.
An analogy we like to use a lot around here, which we stole from Jim Collins, who probably stole it from somebody else, but it's vision, strategy, and tactics. And, it kind of sounds, and tell me if I'm putting words in your mouth, but the vision is handed down from leadership, and you kind of, you communicate, you're a bit of a part of that of, okay, how do we take that vision and then, make a production, all the elements fit that vision. But your role seems to be sitting in strategy. How do I take that vision and strategize so that then my teams under me can do all the tactics? So to communicate that strategy to your audio team and your lighting team to say, like, I don't know how you're going to pull this off, all the details. I'm not going to project manage you like that, but here's how it has to connect to the whole. Does that kind of seem like, your role in the middle there?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've loved kind of living in that space. And I do love kind of geeking out on like a new idea or a new concept, or if there's some piece of equipment we've never used before. And like, I love being in kind of that initial geek meeting of like, hey, how does this fit? I saw this new piece of technology. I have some really cool ideas of how this could potentially serve us, or this could like help us innovate in some ways. Here's kind of what I know about it. Now I'm giving this sort of vision and concept and a little bit of information to you to just completely nerd out and find out everything you can about it, and basically tell me what I'm missing and what I don't know. And then let's make something happen.
Yeah. All right, Blake, I was going to disastrously make a segue, but I'm going to pass the ball to you and see if you can catch it. And
Toby, it was right there. You have to have all this preparation to make sure you don't have a disaster. So tell us about a time where you didn't have preparation and a disaster did occur, how you handled it, how you recovered.
That's a great question. I was thinking about that, and I probably blocked a lot of them from memory because there's no shortage of them. I can't think of a time where I didn't ultimately land on my feet. I think at the end of the day, I know early on, even in this job, like, walking into systems I didn't design and just a room that I knew nothing about as far as it would set up. And you have, surprises pop up all the time, and LED walls quit working, and breakers get tripped, and things quit working. And I think it's so funny because I've been doing this for, probably about 15 years at this point. And the one thing that I remember being the most upset about happened when I was either in high school or right out of high school. And it was in my youth group thing. And we had, it was probably just like a typical Wednesday night. And I was always kind of a little electrician kid. So I had built these like custom blinder things out of, Home Depot parts and floodlights and some DJ dimmers and that sort of thing. And we had like gone through this whole rehearsal of like, hey, this is how the song is going to start out. This is what the lights are going to do. This is when they're going to flash on, all this, and practice it. It was super cool. I was super excited for it. And then in the service, there's probably like 40 people in the room, if that. No one cares at all but me about what's happening in this moment. And I fudged it in some kind of way, and it didn't go off the way it was supposed to. And I was devastated. Like it beat me up so bad. And I remember like apologizing to like the rest of my little production team. And they're like, dude, no one cares. Like, this is literally just you. And like, even though that was a time when there was probably the least amount of eyes on what I was doing, I remember just taking so much pride in wanting it to be good and just beating up on myself when it didn't. And through then, it's like anything, I've had fire alarms go off in the middle of gatherings. I've had, live streams that didn't work, and cameras that glitched out, or microphones that glitched out, and like every surface level production error that you can think of, like I've had to endure at one point or another. And I think something I've learned that in production leadership, even if something is not directly your fault, it is still your responsibility. So I still have to answer and be held accountable, and I'm joyous to be held accountable for something that maybe somebody on my team did kind of get a little lazy, and they fat fingered something, or they weren't paying attention and didn't prep something the way they should have. And I'm not going to air them. I'm not going to throw them under the bus to leadership. Like, I'm going to take ownership of that and say, hey, no, this is what happened, and identifying, hey, we're saying, hey, this is exactly where things went wrong. This is exactly what the solution is. This is what we're doing to implement that solution and give us the best chance of it never happening again. And then talking to the people, whether it was yourself or somebody else, that were maybe a little more directly accountable for whatever the error was. Sometimes crowd just breaks, and that's the nature of the lane that we run in. But if it is kind of a user error, talking to that person saying, hey, there's grace, but here's why this is important. Here's how we're going to make sure that doesn't happen again, making sure that person's supported and doesn't just get discouraged and never want to serve on production again. So I would say I've definitely crapped the bed in every way you can think of, but I can't think of a time where I didn't land on my feet at the end of the day and where me and the team wasn't better for it. So no real crash and burns to share. And if they were, I've blocked them from memory, I'm sure.
We're just asking him to relive his trauma, Toby.
Yeah.
It's too mean.
Yeah.
Well, Drew, since you've been able to avoid the disasters, maybe you can tell us a tech takeaway that'll help other people avoid their disaster moments. What would you say to a room full of production people as we wrap this episode up?
That's great. So something we say here on our team, and it kind of started as a little bit of a joke, and now the teams kind of run with it, and it makes my heart happy. But I always just tell them, swing the hammer. And what that means is, like, everything that you want to be different, everything that you want to be better, like, requires action. It requires intentionality. It requires a plan. And everything that you've ever seen built, or everything you've ever stood and, been in awe of, it really wasn't the designers and the dreamers and the architects that really made that thing happen. It was the guy on the ladder at the end of the day that was swinging the hammer and making the thing happen. So that's what I always tell my team is, like, really be the one willing to swing the hammer, be the one willing to stand in the gap and make the difference, and don't just whine and complain about what could be and what other people should be doing and all of the disadvantages you have, but really be the one that takes action and swings the hammer to actually build the thing. And if you do that a little bit every week, you'll really be blown away in what you can accomplish over the course of a career.
I love that. I'd like to swing the hammer. I don't know that I want to hit a nail as much as I want to hit some people, but I'll swing the hammer.
Yeah. I'm trying to think how long your arms are if you can reach me from there.
I could with my foot.
Ah, okay.
Could with my foot. Well, Drew, we really appreciate you joining us. Is there anything you'd like to plug?
If you love the Lord and you love production and you live in Auburn or Birmingham or Nashville and you want to work for the local church, I'd probably need your help. So hit me up.
Drew is hiring and he has a boat. So those are magical combination.
It's a good work perk.
Yep.
Maybe you should add it to our benefits package for Toby. Well,
great.
Drew, thanks for joining us today, man.
Thank you all so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks for hanging out with us. We hope to see you back next week for more absurd stories, tech takeaways, and overall buffoonery here at the Church Gear Studios.
All right, Blake, I feel like we should finally confess that you fat-fingered this episode.
What do you mean?
Just like Drew said on this episode that sometimes people fat finger things, but you gotta, own it for yourself. So your fat fingers just completely messed up everything.
I think you're just trying to search for something, Toby.
See, the problem is this is our third episode of the day, and we're at the end of it. And like after this, I get to go eat dinner. So we're just fat fingering the end of this episode. It's just going off the rails quickly. Save us, Blake, quick.
I think you just fat fingered this ending, but I'll say send this to someone who has the fattest finger in your life. Yeah. And that's all the context you give them. You say, I think you got the fattest finger in my life, and you should listen to this episode, and you'll know they finished it if they get to the end.
That's true. That's a good sign. And also, if you got a fat finger, go work for Drew in Auburn, and you get a boat.
Toby, you're drunk.